Keep changing shit on us.
I already know that I'm recording. I just pushed the button.
Dude, this is our 10th episode.
Welcome to episode 10, Conscious Guys Get Laid More.
Eventually.
Not brought to you by Bubbly. But
Bubbly.
if you wanted to be sponsor us, Bubbly, you definitely could.
The non-alcoholic drink that
Of conscious guys that get laid
more
more.
sometimes. So last week we talked about this Jamie Fraser and
Jim's Fraser,
this
because he's a Highlander. Hey, wasn't that what it is?
representation of what a man could be.
What a man, what a man, what a man, what a mighty good man. Mighty good man. That should be our theme song. Women talking about men. Isn't that how we want to feel? Winston, we've been you don't need to. Everyone, hold on, we're gonna show. Winston, look at this mohawk, everybody.
Home butcher at its finest. Way to go, Winston. Nice mohawk, dude. What a man.
Yeah, that's a man right there. If you have a mohawk, you're a man. Oh man, I messed up all of our lighting. What did I do?
Dude, that's crazy. What happened? There we go. Oh, no. Doesn't want to work.
Oh damn.
Oh, man. What happened?
Good podcasting.
Yeah.
Hope you're still with us, all three of you.
Anyway, so last week was it was kind of a turning point in our podcast, in our show, in our relationship. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We
As more than just one knuckle.
Yeah, we committed to further experimentation and exploration.
Mm-hmm.
And this week, we're going to talk about, we did a men's retreat a few weeks ago. That was pretty impressive.
Yes, we did.
What did you have your inner, what was it? My observation of you was that you became very competitive in your nature during that entire week.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
You just saw what already was.
You're very competitive, but it just
came out. It just was demonstrated. Yeah. What he's talking about is the fact that I won $240 in archery. Call me fucking Legolas.
Legolas. Orlando Bloom in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Sliding up and down giant monsters, shooting arrows, everything.
Shooting the necks out of every orc that he sees.
Yeah.
Yeah. Won $240 at archery.
You're still very proud of that.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm going to be proud
cool.
of that until next year's men's retreat, until I beat everybody at the next competition.
Horseshoe decorating. Just
Bring
whatever
it
it is.
Bring it on.
Okay.
My creativity will flourish no matter what. Oh, and then I also won the pistol shooting contest.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Of the people that participated in the competition, I suppose.
You can't win if you don't bet.
That's true.
And I won because I bet.
You did.
Because I was the best with Doc Holliday's replica pistol.
Yeah.
That thing was strange.
It was very strange. It's fun to shoot though, right?
Yeah, because you aim here and it shoots over there.
That's called adjusting for your
for the poor
form.
For the
poor
poor
form.
pistol creator.
Oh wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking it's more the form of the shooter, but okay.
Maybe that's because he was drunk all the time. He saw everything slanted down and left, and so he just kind of kept shooting up and right, and then it actually hit the right target.
Yeah.
What did the Cowboys say that he was able to shoot? He's able to shoot a card. Yeah, like a 52 deck card from 100 yards, 50 yards away, 25 yards away,
30 yards, I think.
30 yards away.
Yeah.
Damn, dude. That's a small target.
It is a small target.
It's like what, 2 inches by 4 inches or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Doc Holliday, you drunk son of a bitch.
Yeah.
So yeah, men's retreat. So I kicked everybody's ass at archery and pistol shooting.
Mhm.
That wasn't the intent of the men's retreat, but everybody walked away with that knowledge.
It's very true.
And
Is that part of being a man, being competitive?
not necessarily. I think the thing about being a man is to know how to win good, well, and speak.
Don't have to speak well.
Speak good English. Is to know how to be a good winner and to be a good loser. That was something that my dad taught me. I remember when I was growing up playing sports. He was a big volleyball player. He had been for most of his life, actually. But he used to teach or coach our high school volleyball team. He was the assistant coach. There was a head coach, and he was talking about when you're going up against an opponent, and he was talking about how you block. And if you get a perfect block, you should be able to cover this, and this part of the court. And if they hit right here,
Mhm.
all you do is you put your hand under the net and you shake their hand because that was an amazing shot. You don't cover that. Like that was the metaphor. That was what he taught. Like, you be perfect like this. And if somebody else is just even better, you don't got to get upset. You shake their hand like, amazing job. That's
Okay.
incredible.
So that's a good loser.
That was a good, yeah, he was demonstrating a good loser.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's a good winner?
I think a good winner is one that talks about beating everyone in archery for at least the year until the next competition is up. I beat you too. You gave me $20 out of that 240.
I was probably one of the first ones to give you the $20. Yeah. I did. You did win. You were surprisingly good at archery.
I was surprisingly good. I'm not an archer. I've probably shot a bow and arrow, 3 to 5 times in my life before that, and I just narrowed, aim small, miss small. Patriot.
That all it is?
Yeah, Mel Gibson.
Aim small, miss small.
He taught me everything. Do you remember that movie?
I do.
I want to watch that movie again. I remember it being so good.
Me too. I like the family part. Like, he was a single dad, raising his kids, doesn't want to be involved in the war, but then like you mess with his family and you're just gonna fucking get it.
That's kind of like John Wick. Killed his
Dude,
dog. Or
fucking John Wick was incredible.
His dog.
Okay, so let's talk about that.
John Wick
for a second.
He is not a good loser.
No, not a good loser.
You shouldn't kill everybody if you lose.
Like, everybody.
Let's start there.
But like, as a representation of a man, like that would be like, some people would consider that the epitome of manliness is just going out and just wreaking havoc and letting people know you can't do this.
Mm-hmm.
So like, his set of values, how do you assess that from afar? Like, this is part of the reason I don't own a gun personally, is because there would be a time where I would just let my anger overtake my sensibility at that point. I have a value of not doing harm to others, and when I cross that, I feel so shitty internally. There's just a oh my god, like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah. So then the question about John Wick is what?
It's like, what about that is manly?
Why is it so cool, but why is it not the greatest of representations of man? So here's my first thought of this, and I'm obviously coming up
on the spot. Yeah.
But I think it is, he had a value around family, which was represented by, I think his wife died. Didn't she die?
His wife died.
And then they got the pup, and then he got the puppy because of it or something.
She knew she was going to die because she had cancer, and so she set it up to have a puppy delivered to him to help him through the grieving process.
Yeah. So I think that's part of where I could look at this and say that's why he's such a badass, is because he he was so dedicated to his value, he was willing to risk his life. And then, he's a badass gunsmanship and mercenary and all that kind of stuff if you're into like that kind of action adventure kind of thing.
Mhm.
But it was more like the relentless pursuit of what you value.
Okay.
It's like the samurai concept of you. How does it even go? You don't want to die, but you're willing to. What is that? How does that go?
Ooh, I don't know. I don't remember.
If Cassie was here, she'd be able to.
Oh, for sure, Cassie knows everything.
Yeah, it's like you're totally committed to life, and yet willing to die.
Okay.
Right.
Mhm.
So I am, if John Wick, he was going to. His intent was to live.
Yeah.
Even though he was up against 250 people that he happened to kill in the hour-and-a-half movie.
Sure.
Right. He didn't matter about the odds. It was I am committed to living. I'm also committed to this value, which was the love of my wife, now represented in the relationship with this puppy that got stolen.
Killed.
At the beginning, we didn't know that he got killed. Did he die at the beginning?
The puppy got killed.
Oh, damn. I thought the puppy got stolen. Isn't there another? There's not. I must be thinking of No, I'm thinking of Far Away Home, or whatever that dog one is. Remember the dog and the cat, the two dogs and the cat?
Yes.
Runaway Home or Far Away Home or something like that.
That's
So anyway,
Okay.
that complete commitment to life, the complete commitment to a value, and actually putting your life on the line for it, like that is what is so badass. And then he's also a master at his craft. And I find anybody
Sure.
that's a master at the craft, that's just badass at its finest.
Great. So the level that we're talking about representing manliness would be the master of the craft, whatever that craft is.
Yeah.
Right. And then the commitment to the value.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a layer above the actual content, like killing people. Yeah, okay, that may or may not be something you want to do, but the mastery of that is
Right.
pretty manly.
Right.
Is that isolated to men though?
No, well, I don't think so. I find actually that's what can be super attractive with women, like women that are dedicated to their thing. Like, here's the random example that comes to mind: Madonna.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think she is a beautiful woman, but what's also beautiful and attractive about her is that she has an idea in her mind of what she wants to represent, the art that she wants to produce, whether it's the fucking the weird booby bras that she used to have, and she was like one of the first, or she just dramatized the enormous performances that would go on at her concerts and whatnot, and then her changing of her persona or her art, whatever it is, over the decades as she evolved as a person from out of her 20s to then into her 50s and whatever she is now. Like, she was dedicated to that, and I find that super enticing, really magnetic. So I think that in anybody, for me, is attractive. For men, I think that's what's attractive to men. That's what shows up as something that is like, that's a guy. That's a freaking. That's somebody that I'd like to model myself after. Because Cassie, like my wife Cassie, I find that that's one of the things that attracted me to her from the get-go, and I'm still attracted to, is her pursuit of her own self-knowledge is enormous. I don't know anybody that's like that. She goes to the Bahamas for 30 days on a retreat. She goes up to Grass Valley and then to Ojai for 5 days and 10 days. She takes all of our workshops and then writes our workshops. And then when she's writing workshops, fuck, our house is like, it's so, I mean, it's cool.
Yeah, I've seen it.
It's like a little research library. There's 7 books that are open with bookmarks and highlights on all the different pages. She's constantly watching and reading, or watching like documentaries. She's got 17 tabs open in her internet browser of different websites and the different intricacies of what's going on. And she is just fully immersed and dedicated, and I find that super attractive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that in regards to John Wick. Like, he was just dedicated. Here's a guy that had to get super good at his craft of killing people,
Yeah.
but then also dedicated to the value of his wife and his relationship with her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the representations and symbols of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fascinating. Yeah, I like it too. It's fun.
So I think that's part of the like why, like, the winner and the loser, the dedication to it. The loser part is like what I said about my dad, but the winning part is you're fully dedicated to something, and then I guess, well, we didn't actually go into this part. So here's the part about the winning.
Yeah.
A good winner is somebody who appreciates their opponent for what they bring. And appreciates the dedication and skill that they had and the performance that they had.
Yeah.
And they're two separate things.
Sure. Okay.
Where I think some bad winners are, see how fucking good I am, I beat you. And then it's like a they've merged two separate concepts. It's you and there's the opponent, right? Or you and them, whatever the competition is.
Yeah.
And there's one that's just the winner and the good losers that appreciates the other person and appreciates themselves.
Sure.
And they're separated.
So it's kind of like a poor winner could be, the way I'm hearing it is, identifies their winning as the other person had to lose.
Yeah. Yeah, it has something to do with the other person.
Yeah.
Now, there's this strategy of winning tournaments, but that's not about win. That's a different topic. That's about, well, I need to beat them, and with them, we only need a tie to get the right amount of points, and with that. But that's the strategy of the game. That's still not saying I appreciate myself for what I've done, and I appreciate you as the opponent for what you brought to the table in regards to our XYZ game.
Yeah.
So I think it's that separation of those two things. Because I know I feel the best when I win is that I'm thinking about my skill or what I brought to it, and I'm looking at the other people and saying, that was just fun, because we got to match wits, we got to match muscles, we got to push each other. So that's what I find. Now, in regards to the men's retreat, why I keep gloating about it is because that's something totally different. It's not about, well, maybe it's about me being a winner, but it actually feels more about, I like getting the rise out of people. I think it's funny to every time that I now shoot an email to one of the men from the men's retreat.
Yeah.
Like, hey, remember that time I took $20 off of you? Okay, well, here's a little, and then I go into the rest of the email, because then they get this thing, they get that, and they get that little bit of like, oh yeah, he got me. And what I hope that it does, and I think that I bring a lightness to it, what I hope that it does is that it riles them up, where it's a playful rile, like, ooh, I want to get that guy, because then it's like fun competition next time. Like, fuck, I don't care if I didn't get $240 or win $20 out of per person. If I lost $20, whatever, I would still come back next year and be like, okay, what's the next competition? How can we go do this? Let's put it out there. Let's put some stake in the stakes in the game here.
Interesting.
So I think it's fun to watch people get a rise out of people. Which is, I think we talked about this in one of the other podcasts. That's one of the descriptions that people have of me as a trainer. I'm provocative.
You are provocative.
Because I look at people that it's their reactions. It's all funny. This is life. Life is not. We're all born, and then we all die, and then there's this thing in between called life. So let's go for a ride with it. And when I'm in a good place, it's like, it doesn't even matter if it's low or if it's high. It's all fun. It's all just a ride. It's all this wild, fun mirror experience of weird, warped life views and concepts and beliefs. And so let's step back from it and look at it like as if it was a movie. The movie is your life, so yes, it is. But let's talk about it like it's the movie, which is fun to go and analyze the movie and look at it, right?
Okay.
We don't have to get so caught up in the, oh, it's so sad because I am the character of the movie. It's like, no, let's look at the movie like, oh, isn't he sad? Yeah, what a script that is. Isn't he joyful? Oh, what a script that is. So I think it's fun to watch, to get a rise out of somebody, and then for like what I try to do in workshops is to get the rise out of them and then separate themselves from that reaction so that they can look at the reaction and see like, whoa, look at what I just did there. That was wild. So they can do that. They can have that meta conversation, that or meta conscious, meta cognition of, is that what it would be? I don't know what it would be.
Mm-hmm.
Of of themselves, whereas they would naturally, and we all just normal minute by minute, we don't think about ourselves from that heightened state. We're just being ourselves in the state that we are. And I think it's great to have that moment of elevated perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So,
because from that elevated perspective, you can see a whole slew of other choices or opportunities or options that weren't available from being mired in the moment.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's like the scarcity to prosperity year-long concept, right?
Sure.
There's this whole huge, enormous history of our past that has happened. All the choices, all the events. I decided to eat eggs this morning versus cereal. I decided to wear this versus that. I decided to have that conversation. Whatever actually did happen in our past. And then there's this moment of now.
Mm-hmm.
And then that moment of now and what could then happen is almost infinite in the possibilities of what could happen.
Sure.
But we can't see all of those almost infinite possibilities if we don't get a heightened elevation of perspective. Mm-hmm. I feel sometimes you can't do that because you don't realize, whoa, I was connected to all of this history, and whoa, here's what the potential of the past is, because you're at ground level. You can't see the whole field. It's like looking at the trying to figure out the football game while you're on the field, where every single person is in relationship to themselves and the yardage in between them, versus going and sitting up in the announcer's box. Mm-hmm. And being like, oh yeah, I can see that guy's 2.5 yards away, and that guy's 15 yards away, and that guy's 4 yards away, and like, yeah, there's the ease of it. You're seeing the same thing at ground level versus at the announcer's box, but at the announcer's box you have this scope of relativity that is I think is really difficult to see when you're at ground level. So just like you said, pulling up out of it in workshops is, I think, super helpful to see all these different possibilities of what could be.
And that translates into a level of self-awareness then that can be utilized and recognized in future moments to make different choices, right? That's
the way that I look at like all of our workshops, and especially with the scarcity to prosperity year-long workshop that you're in, and mm-hmm. my year-long track is in, is this is a tool. Mm-hmm. This is just one tool. The tool of the idea of how do I take my mind from a state of scarcity into a state of prosperity. That's what the tool is to help you think. Then there's another tool, which is a different conversation or topic, very much related to, about how do I take, now that I think in a prosperous way, mm-hmm. and can see a prosperity of opportunities, how do I then begin to act and manifest in a direction that I want?
Mm. Yeah.
Those are two separate things. One is to think, and then one is to do.
Okay.
You follow me so far?
No. Can you say it again?
Okay.
So there's two different tools. One is to think and one is to do.
Yep. Yeah. So the idea of scarcity to prosperity thinking mm-hmm. is, let's see if we can train the mind to at will move from whatever state it is, and just for example's sake, let's say that it is in a state of scarcity, meaning it does not see many options in front of it, probably based on a lot of historical fears and upsets and triggers.
Okay.
So it's narrowed its view from if my even in all of my periphery, I see 180 degrees in the idea of scarcity. I've narrowed it down to 5 degrees. It's like blinders on a horse, right? Like those horses that are on street fairs and whatnot. Like they can only see 5 degrees of what is possible to them. Let's say that we take that idea of, that's the way that your mind is thinking. I only see this way to have the conversation with Cassie or my wife.
Sure.
I only see that this is the outcome from that conversation.
This is the only way to be a man.
It is the only way to be a man, right? To then getting your mind to think in a way where you see more options. Right. I've now taken the blinders off to now not only see the 5 degree of angle, but actually 180 degrees of angle of what the possibilities are.
And that's the thinking part.
That would be the thinking part. And the year long, at least my part of the year long, we're at 2 different tracks. I think yours is like 5 months ahead, 6 months ahead. The thinking part, that's just one tool, but you've not yet manifested anything. So now you can sit in your armchair of your living room and be like, I'm a really prosperous thinker, yet I'm not paying rent and I'm not having the conversations with my wife, or I'm not doing X, Y, Z, because you haven't manifested. Okay. So then there's a second tool. How do you go from thinking the opportunities that you want to think or let's just move it, thinking in a way that you want to think, and let's call it a prosperous mindset, into actually manifesting towards some either predefined goal or towards a general mission guided intent.
Okay.
And the manifestation of that is something different, because how many great ideas, for example, how many great ideas do you have that you then don't go and pursue?
Sure, a lot.
I fucking think about things all the time.
Yeah.
I think I can go have a conversation with you about the business in regards to this, or I can have a conversation with Cassie in regards to that. What if we bought this thing and then we invested there, and all of a sudden, and what if I invested in Dogecoin in 2020, man? I'd be a fucking millionaire. But but I don't go and act on it, so I'm not a millionaire. But I don't go and act on it because of whatever my, for me, it's typically insecurity around, if I do it wrong, what people will think of me, and I'll be seen as, you don't get it, you're stupid, you're dumb, and you're outcast, and I don't want to be with you anymore.
Wow.
So even when I can get into a quote unquote prosperous thinking mindset, then there's still the other part of, how do I then take action towards that? And that's another tool to develop. That's another, skill to develop with tools to help develop that skill. Okay.
And the tool that you're referencing
on that one?
Yeah.
I haven't referenced anything. I was just talking about a concept.
Oh, just a concept. Okay. Yeah. So there is a tool to help you move into action.
God, I hope so. Or else we'll just... or else you talk a good game.
Jesus. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Got it.
So that's what I don't know why we went into that tangent.
But... it was a great tangent. It's beautiful. So let's... Where do so
our microphone messed up. Perfect. Microphone's back.
Great. Still on?
Still on. Still
okay.
look. We're a bunch of white guys being whitewashed. So
yeah, that's weird.
That's cool.
Looks funky.
Yeah, looks real funky. But we can keep talking.
Okay. Or we could just be silent while you do a close-up of your nose. It's fucking cool.
Maybe it needs...
All right. So,
what do you think? So the other stuff that we're going to talk about today was our blow up, getting pissed off.
Oh, cool. Let's talk about that.
And then, so Andy and I blew up at each other. We, I don't even remember where it started. I don't know if there was a really like an origin to our blow up, but there was a. What it accumulated to was I was on a walk around the block, and then you hung up on me.
Oh, okay. Is that how you remember it? That's cool.
Uh-huh.
That's great.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
Uh,
It seems irrelevant, the actual part of the conversation, but what we were talking about right before the podcast was how we got to into such a headbutting
mhm.
that, like, I don't know, it didn't look good. It was sketchy, or it was very uncomfortable for me. You can speak for yourself as to how it was. But what I even found, what we talked about, what we found was more interesting was how once we were done with it and kind of had our come to Jesus conversation and cleared up the gunk, we were done with it and moving on and back to being great in our relationship.
Yeah.
And you were making mention about, is that just a guy thing?
Yeah, Karen refers to, like, she knows different things about guys, and like, how can you not take things personally, and how come the fights never last so long? Like, you can yell and scream, and then 5 minutes later be like hugging and drinking and talking and back to normal.
Right.
Like, guys do that, brothers
Right.
do that, different things do that. You're still like totally distracted. It's cool.
So what do you think it is? Why do you think it works that way? Or at least for us it did.
For us it did. There's probably conscious and unconscious things running about relationships between men. Did you fix it?
No.
That doesn't look good.
Cut your head off.
That still doesn't look all that great. That's weird. Anyway.
Post editing.
So maybe there's something to do with like the tribal bonds, men as providers and protectors, and like even if they have tussles, they're working in conjunction with each other to provide something. Like, they have a relationship, it's based on something, and that purpose supersedes eventually the issue in the relationship.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, I was thinking, I don't know what the evolutionary purpose is, because I would feel like that would be the same for women, but maybe women don't feel the same way. So then as you were talking, my mind went to, so then what is it about you and I that got us to get good, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would agree with that last statement, which was, I'm dedicated to the growth of the organization. I want the organization to grow. I want all my employees to be here. I believe all of the employees that I have are incredibly valuable, and I want them to be, and I believe that they're going to be integral. There it is. Integral to the growth of the organization. And I'm also more dedicated to what we call our manifesto than any one individual.
Mm-hmm.
And so it took off for me a feeling, wow, it's really interesting. If maybe this is just where my mind is today, but that kind of feeling of separation. Like, I have a dedication to be the president and owner of Productive Learning and making sure that the organization grows in the direction that I want it to grow and all that kind of stuff. Separate to that, I also have a relationship with you. Mm-hmm. And I enjoy hanging out with you, and we do different things, and that's all good. And if those both overlap, It just so happens that they overlap. But my relationship with you as a friend is not contingent on how successful or not successful the business is.
Okay.
That's what came to mind when you were talking.
Interesting. Nice.
Why do you think that? Well, actually, here's a question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think men, would you agree with Karen's conjecture that men have a easier time of letting something go after there's an upset or a rub between a relationship than women do? And if so, and or if not, why?
Man, I want to say yes, because I experience it. Like my relationship with you, my relationship with Mark, my relationship with my brother, like all of those relationships are significant relationships in my life. I've had, issues or grumpiness and fights or long periods of non-communication, and then when we get back together, everything is good and solid. And I find that valuable and wonderful, but I don't know that it's like that for everyone else.
Do you feel that way with women? Because the examples that you just named were me, Mark, and your brother.
Yeah.
Do you feel that same way with women, or whenever you've had an upset with one, do you feel that it sticks or it stays around longer?
I am hesitant. I think in general, potentially around missteps with women, and want to make sure they're okay. I don't know if I want the same thing with men or not. It's a challenging question.
Oh, that's interesting. So yeah, so with women, you feel more. If I understood you correctly, you feel more hesitant and cautious.
Yeah,
So
like if Lisa and I were to have an argument, or if she were upset about something, then I would be like, yeah, hey, are you okay? Like, where are we at? How do you feel about our relationship? I'm feeling pretty good. And then it would be like I would need to check in. I think I've had a similar conversation with you, but I had a lot more confidence as to the outcome of that conversation.
Oh, got it. So you have more confidence that
Huh.
I'll be able to handle and clean it up versus they'll be able to handle and clean it up. Even though your approach from the outside looks the same, as you want to go and have a conversation and make sure to get on the same page. Yeah. I wonder if that's a kind of a, I don't want to do blanket statements, but for the moment I'll do a blanket statement. If that is typical for a relationship with the same sex versus a relationship with the opposite sex.
Potentially.
Maybe. I wonder if what it is for me, if I were to answer that question. Because I feel very comfortable around women growing up in my life. But when there is an upset around them, do I get more caught up with them versus if there's an upset with a relationship with a guy friend of mine? Damn, that's hard to say. That's hard to say because I can't use Cassie as an example because that's too close, right?
Yeah.
Like my for better or for not, her emotional set point sways my emotional set point way too much. So that's too much to say.
It's loaded.
Yeah. So what girlfriends do I have? Like I have a girlfriend whose name is Andy. I have a girlfriend whose name is Alicia. You know Alicia.
Mm-hmm.
I have another Cassie. And when they're upset, I don't care.
you just wait till it blows over?
I guess, well, as what I was thinking was when they're upset about something, not necessarily with me.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I don't like, I care while I'm on the phone with them or when I'm talking with them, but then when I'm not, I don't care. But I also think that I feel that way with my guy friends too. Like, oh
Sure.
yeah, it's a bummer that that's happening. But then whatever, now we're moving on.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's me just not taking on their stuff though.
Mm.
So I don't know that it's about, so then I got to think about if I have an issue with somebody. Man, that's a tough one. I'm gonna have to think about that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Interesting, right?
Yeah.
Falling into the, like, I just accepted it. It's funny when I notice it, like when Karen is brought it. How do guys do that? And as if that's a truth, and I don't know that it is, but from the outside, it may look like it.
Yeah.
Like holding a grudge or something else. I know guys hold grudges.
Yeah.
So it's just a weird contemplation too.
Well, there is a difference though, and this is going to be a stereotype, but there is still a difference where men in some form relate to one another by their achievements, and women relate to one another more by their social dynamic. This has been my experience in looking at like middle school, high school. I watch my nieces and nephews, and from what I remember going through middle school and high school, the guys are doing competition and seeing who can kick the ball farther and who can throw farther, who can jump and run faster and all that kind of stuff, and who did better on the test of this, and who did, that kind of, like, it's essentially it's a pissing match with little kids in some form. And my niece that lives local, so that I'm much more familiar with kind of how she thinks about her schooling and stuff, it's about the friends. It's about this person's talking about that with this one, and this person's doing that, and so there's like this really big interwoven connected network, and so there's this social dynamic aspect to it. Versus guys, there's we're going to meet, we're going to see who arm wrestled and won, and then we're done.
Okay.
With it.
And that just continues.
And maybe that continues. Maybe that's all bullshit and I'm making that up, but that's been my experience. And so then if it does continue, saying, like, I'm not saying this is, why does our microphone keep popping around?
I don't know.
I don't want the Mac mic Brook. I want the Yeti. Brought to you by, not by Yeti, but if Yeti wants to sponsor us, you guys can sponsor us. Coolers or microphones. Dude, their coolers are so expensive.
They are.
Holy cow.
Yeah. I just sold one.
You did? You had a Yeti cooler?
I did. It just didn't fit in our trailer anymore. Plus we got the fridge.
How much did you sell it for?
$140.
Oh, you didn't have a really fancy one. There's fancy freaking Yetis that are $750 and $1,000.
This is true. We had a lower end one.
Yeah.
We paid like 200 and something for it.
Still, that's an expensive.
Yeah, right? Who does that?
Cassie just bought a Arctic, I think it's called, from Costco.
Nice.
We used it once so far. Worked good. It looks just like a Yeti.
Nice.
Costco's buying a cheaper brand or something. What were we talking about? So that's my experience of watching the social dynamic. And so does that then manifest to adulthood, into your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s? Based on what I understand about human psychology, yeah. Like if that was the dynamic and the experiences and what we were being taught, either by directly or indirectly by just social standard, then that became the blueprint and the foundation for then how we did our career and social life and personal relationship.
But that could serve really well.
It could totally serve well.
Like to be able to, like, the match is over, the game is done, there was a winner, there was a loser, whatever it is, and now it's done.
Yep.
And it's over. And
yep.
like the energy that you put into the match and the game and the training and everything else, that was all complete.
Yep.
And then you move on to the next.
Yep.
That feels pretty good.
But so does, I think there's an incredible value with the social dynamic and the idea of what we just labeled as the female way, which is not, I wouldn't say that. I think we have both of them, but
Yeah.
that they're remembering the relationship dynamic between these three people and those two people, and how these ones interact and relate to those ones. Like, how incredibly advantageous is that?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you think that global leaders should have that ability to
Absolutely
understand the interwovenness between, well, that religion believes this and that religion believes that, but they are much more into their societal wealth and these ones are more into their capital wealth and these ones, and so how we would interrelate to, like, hello.
Yeah. Team dynamics, social dynamics, performance, all of that.
And then couple it with somebody that is a high achiever or performer that wants to achieve. I mean, it's the best of both worlds. It's the guy that has a lot of female stereotypical characteristics, or the female that has a lot of the guy male stereotypes. You know,
it's fascinating. I think where it can go, like, on either one of those is where, like you said, the poor loser or the poor winner has characteristics that then kind of taint the whole experience for the people involved. And the same can happen in the social dynamics construct, right?
Yeah.
Where these are the rules that you play by, these are the right ways to do things, these are the wrong ways to do things, and now people can be shunned or excluded or no longer belong because of this.
Right.
So it's just interesting.
Yep.
Jesus, we just went off on from John Wick all the way to this.
Political science.
Fucking incredible.
It's a good podcast.
That's great.
Probably should end it on that one.
I think so. I don't think we could top that.
Winston's over it. He's done.
Dude, he's been asleep for the entire time.
Look at that shaved butt that I did. Poor guy.
Yeah.
Here's a tip for all of you conscious guys trying to get laid more. If you decide to save $80 and not get your dog cut, make sure when you shave them with the clippers, go with the grain. Because when you don't, man, you go all the way down to the skin.
Bald spots. Your dog looks like he's got mange.
He does, doesn't he?
Whoa.
All right, folks. We
What
need
do
a
you think?
sign off.
Hope you all get laid more isn't enough.
Hope you all get laid more.
Boop.
Bye-bye.